You are chasing freedom, aren't you? Relentlessly pursuing it in the external world. You believe it lies in accumulating more wealth, achieving higher status, gaining control over others, or shaping every circumstance to your will. You throw yourself into the endless hustle, convinced that if only you could climb that next ladder, acquire that next possession, or dominate that next challenge, true liberation would finally be yours. But what if this desperate pursuit is the very prison you're trying to escape? In this relentless chase, you find yourself exhausted, anxious, perpetually dissatisfied. You are trapped in a cycle of needing more, fearing loss, and battling against the unpredictable currents of life. You might meticulously curate your online presence, chasing likes and followers, believing that external validation will unshackle your spirit. Yet paradoxically, this very pursuit leads to increased anxiety, comparison, and a pervasive sense of inadequacy, or consider the insatiable desire for material comforts. Each new acquisition provides a fleeting thrill, only to be replaced by a craving for the next, trapping you in an endless cycle of consumption and dissatisfaction. Your perceived peace is always just one more purchase away. What if this conventional understanding is merely a seductive mirage, a convenient lie that distracts you from the brutal, underlying truth? What if the relentless pursuit of freedom out there is precisely what binds you, leading to a perpetual cycle of disappointment and an insatiable craving for what you can never truly possess? Your suffering stems not from the lack of external freedom, but from the illusion that it's the only kind that matters. You become a prisoner of your attachments, a slave to your desires, forever reacting to the unpredictable currents of the outside world, never truly commanding your own destiny. This video will not offer another external solution, a new strategy for accumulation, or a new set of rules to follow to conquer the world. It will offer a radical, counterintuitive blueprint for a freedom so profound it transcends all external conditions. We will explore how true, absolute liberation resides not in what you gain, but in what you surrender, not in what you control, but in what you cultivate within. Through the timeless wisdom of a master teacher whose insights have echoed across millennia, we will uncover a path to an inner sovereignty so complete it renders external limitations irrelevant. Are you ready to abandon the illusion of external freedom and discover a blueprint for an unshakable inner kingdom that promises absolute peace and power? Because this journey into the heart of true liberation begins now. The human quest for happiness and liberation often leads us down paths of external acquisition and validation. We accumulate possessions, chase transient pleasures, seek approval from social circles, and meticulously craft public personas designed for acceptance. We are conditioned to believe that if we have enough money, enough status, enough control over others, or if others admire us sufficiently, we will finally be free from anxiety, from suffering, from the crippling fear of not being enough. But this reliance on external sources for our well-being is not just fragile, it's a profound act of self-betrayal. When wealth is lost, when status crumbles, when approval wanes, or when circumstances defiantly refuse to bend to our will, we are left exposed, vulnerable, and deeply unfulfilled. The very things we believed would free us become the chains that bind us. Consider the modern phenomenon of digital anxiety, a perfect illustration of this trap. Millions meticulously curate their online lives, chasing likes, comments, and followers as a desperate form of validation. They build entire identities on the shifting sands of social media metrics. Yet, paradoxically, this constant external focus, this insatiable hunger for digital approval, often leads to spiraling rates of anxiety, pervasive comparison, and a suffocating sense of inadequacy. Their freedom, their sense of self-worth, becomes terrifyingly contingent on algorithms and the fleeting attention of strangers. Or think of the relentless, almost compulsive pursuit of material comforts. Each new acquisition provides a brief, fleeting thrill, quickly replaced by a deeper, more insistent desire for the next, trapping one in an endless cycle of consumption and dissatisfaction. Their perceived peace is always just one more purchase away, an ever-receding horizon of contentment. This pervasive reliance on external approval, on constant emotional and material acquisition, reveals a fundamental dilemma. If your freedom, your peace, Your very sense of self-worth is dependent on external factors, on what you have, what others think, what circumstances dictate, then you are, by definition, not truly free. You become a hostage to circumstances, a puppet to others' opinions, a slave to your own insatiable desires. The suffering arises not from the lack of external things, but from the futile, exhausting attachment to them. If true freedom isn't found out there, if it cannot be bought, earned, or controlled through external means, if it's not a destination but a state of being, then where, truly, does it reside? This profound question has echoed through the ages, whispered in the hearts of every seeker, and an ancient master offered a radical answer that points not outward, but profoundly inward. Among the most profound teachers in human history, one figure offered a vision of freedom so radical, so absolute, so utterly independent of worldly conditions, that it continues to challenge our most ingrained assumptions about power, happiness, and liberation: Jesus Christ. Beyond theological interpretations, his teachings, particularly as meticulously recorded in the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, provide an unparalleled blueprint for psychological liberation and a state of inner sovereignty that transcends all external limitations. He was a master of the human psyche, a profound observer of the human condition, who pointed consistently not to an empire of this world, but to a profound, unshakable, inner kingdom that resides within. Jesus frequently spoke of the kingdom of God, and in a pivotal moment recorded in Luke 17:21, he states with revolutionary simplicity, "Nor will people say, 'Look, here it is,' or 'There it is,' because the kingdom of God is in your midst." This is a foundational, philosophical, and psychological insight for understanding true freedom. It suggests that genuine peace, unassailable power, and absolute liberation are not external territories to be conquered, nor are they future rewards to be earned. Instead, they are an internal state of consciousness, a realm of profound inner self-sufficiency, and a quality of freedom that resides always and eternally within each individual. It's a state you cultivate through self-awareness and conscious choice, not acquire through external accumulation. This inner kingdom means that your sense of wholeness, your joy, and your freedom are not contingent upon the fickle fluctuations of external circumstances, the amount of your material wealth, or the shifting sands of social status. It is a constant, ever-present source, always available within you, if you only learn how to access it. A core principle of this inner liberation, which directly challenges our modern economic anxieties, is radical detachment from worldly possessions and status. Jesus repeatedly and consistently challenged the human obsession with material wealth, not because wealth itself is inherently evil, but precisely because our attachment to it binds us and makes us slaves to fear. He issued a stark warning: it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for someone who is rich to enter the kingdom of God. Matthew 19:24. This is not a condemnation of prosperity in itself, but a profound psychological insight. Clinging to material security, allowing it to define your worth and provide your identity, creates a narrow eye of the needle through which profound inner freedom and true peace will struggle immensely to pass. He spoke of treasures in heaven, Matthew 6:19-21, not as a literal afterlife reward, but as building internal, incorruptible values like wisdom, compassion, integrity, and peace, values that are immune to loss, immune to thieves, and cannot be taken away by any external circumstance. This radical detachment is not poverty, it is an inner richness that transcends all external gains or losses. Furthermore, Jesus unveiled love as a radical, strategic power. His teaching of unconditional love and forgiveness extends far beyond a simple moral code or a feel-good sentiment. It is a profoundly empowering psychological and strategic pathway that disarms external negativity and frees the self from the debilitating prison of resentment. He instructed his followers, "But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." Matthew 5:44. And, in an even more provocative statement, "If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also." Matthew 5:39. This is emphatically not an invitation to weakness, passivity, or victimization. It is, in fact, a revolutionary form of strategic non-resistance that renders external aggression powerless over your inner state. By consciously choosing to respond with love and forgiveness, you deny your aggressor the power to control your emotional reaction, thereby freeing yourself from the bitterness, resentment, and desire for revenge that would otherwise bind you in an endless cycle of suffering. Forgiveness, in this profound sense, is an act of supreme self-liberation, fiercely protecting your inner kingdom from any external invasion or emotional hijacking. As Jesus said to Peter, when asked how many times to forgive, not 7 times, but 77 times. Matthew 18:21-22, emphasizing that this constant, conscious release of resentment is an ongoing, internal practice for enduring freedom. Finally, his pervasive emphasis on shedding judgment and ego is a direct and profound path to clarity, authenticity, and peace within oneself. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? Matthew 7:3-5. This isn't merely about moral high ground or hypocrisy. It's a penetrating insight into deep psychology. Our judgment of others is often, in Jungian terms, a projection of our own unacknowledged flaws, insecurities, or fears. A cunning way the ego distracts us from the uncomfortable, necessary work within. By consciously letting go of the compulsive need to judge others, you simultaneously release the immense internal tension of hypocrisy and self-deception, allowing for profound self-acceptance and creating an expansive inner space of peace. So, how do you cultivate this inner kingdom? How do you actively integrate these radical teachings into your daily life to unlock this absolute inner freedom? It's not about performing grand gestures or adopting outward piety. It's a constant, often uncomfortable, re-education of the mind, spirit, and emotional body. It is the challenging work of transforming your internal landscape. One of the most powerful and transformative principles is the mindset of radical forgiveness. This isn't merely a polite social gesture or a moral obligation. Forgiveness, as taught by Jesus, is fundamentally an act of profound self-liberation. When you choose to forgive another, you are not absolving them of their wrongdoings, nor are you pretending their actions were acceptable. Instead, you are fiercely releasing yourself from the insidious prison of resentment, bitterness, and anger that consumes your own vital psychic energy. Holding on to grudges is like clutching a hot, burning coal, hoping the other person gets burned by its heat. Forgiveness is the conscious, courageous act of dropping the coal, freeing your own hand from its destructive grip. This constant practice of emotional release, a rigorous discipline of the heart, frees your inner kingdom from external invasion and emotional hijacking, allowing your energy to flow where it serves you. Consider a time you felt deeply wronged. The anger, the desire for revenge, these consume your thoughts, steal your sleep, and dictate your mood, often for years. Forgiveness, even when difficult, is the act of choosing your own inner peace and agency over perpetual emotional entanglement. Next, cultivate radical acceptance and strategic non-resistance. Jesus' teachings about not worrying about tomorrow, Matthew 6:34, and not resisting an evil person, Matthew 5:39, can be interpreted as a profound form of radical acceptance, remarkably similar to the Taoist concept of Wu Wei. It's not about passivity, apathy, or weakness. It's about discerning what you genuinely can and cannot control. When you accept the undeniable reality of a situation without inner struggle or futile resistance, you stop expending vast amounts of precious energy fighting against what is. This profound acceptance creates an immediate, powerful inner peace, a calm at the center of the storm. Imagine a majestic tree in a violent storm. It doesn't fight the raging wind, it bends. Its immense strength is not in its rigidity, but in its profound flexibility and adaptability. This radical acceptance allows you to ride the powerful waves of life's chaos without being capsized, leading to unshakable resilience and a deep sense of calm amidst any external turbulence. Practice focus on the present moment. Jesus' teachings repeatedly steer our attention away from the paralyzing grip of past regrets or the crippling burden of future anxieties, emphatically emphasizing the sufficiency of this day. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. Matthew 6:34. This is a masterclass in profound mindfulness and presence. By consciously anchoring your awareness in the present moment, you free yourself from the crippling grip of anxiety about the unpredictable future and the suffocating chains of past grievances. This mental discipline allows you to live fully, vividly, and authentically in the only moment you truly possess, unlocking a deep and abiding sense of presence and inner peace. Cultivate authentic self over persona. Jesus consistently challenged hypocrisy and outward show, emphasizing the absolute necessity of inner transformation over external performance. His sharp critique of the Pharisees for their public displays of piety, contrasting them with private prayer and genuine, unadorned giving, points directly to the profound liberation found in shedding the persona, the social mask. Your true freedom and power come from consciously acting from a place of radical inner truth, not from a desperate desire for external approval. When you stop performing for others, when you stop seeking validation outside yourself, you reclaim your vital energy, your true identity, and your genuine sense of self-worth. Finally, consider service, giving as empowerment. This is perhaps the ultimate paradox of influence. Jesus taught that true leadership and profound inner wealth come not from being served, but from actively serving others. Whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. Matthew 20:26. This isn't merely a moral imperative, it's a strategic pathway to profound purpose and deep, intrinsic fulfillment. When your actions are consciously rooted in contribution, in actively giving to the world, your worth becomes utterly independent of what you acquire or possess. This leads to an expansive, profound sense of inner richness and meaning that, unlike external wealth, cannot be lost, cannot be stolen, and cannot be diminished by any circumstance. When you learn to apply these timeless principles derived from Jesus' teachings, when you systematically cultivate this profound inner kingdom, something truly miraculous begins to happen. You don't just find external solutions to your problems, you forge an entirely new relationship with freedom itself, one rooted in unshakable authenticity and an unassailable inner command. By adopting this radically different approach to life, you transform your interaction with the world on every level. You become less reactive, less susceptible to the emotional manipulation that traps so many. Your decisions are no longer swayed by fleeting fears, by subconscious guilt, or by the desperate, insatiable need for external approval. Instead, they are driven by a profound, crystal-clear inner peace, by an expansive spirit of radical acceptance, and by an unconditional love that transcends all judgment and external conditions. This profound shift makes you incredibly difficult to control, because you are no longer playing by the emotional rules that others instinctively exploit. You cease to be a puppet to external desires, to societal expectations, or to your own unconscious conditioning. Instead, you emerge as a sovereign of your own consciousness. This cultivated inner peace allows you to navigate complex social, professional, and personal landscapes with a clarity, a wisdom, and a profound effectiveness that few possess. This is not about crude exploitation of others, it's about fiercely safeguarding your inner sanctity, making choices aligned with your deepest truth, and achieving a liberated existence through genuine self-mastery. True influence, born from the inner kingdom, is not about dominating others or wielding external power. It's about radiating an authentic peace that inspires, an unwavering strength that comes from within, and a profound sense of purpose that magnetically attracts. Your presence begins to command respect not through outward displays of power or loud declarations, but through an aura of quiet competence, profound compassion, and unshakable inner joy. This is the ultimate influence, a power that stems from within, transforming you into the architect of your own liberated destiny, capable of sculpting your reality with deliberate, unyielding intent, grounded in the bedrock of absolute inner freedom. The journey to discover and cultivate the inner kingdom through Jesus' profound teachings is an invitation to absolute, unconditional liberation. It demands a rigorous willingness to shed external attachments, to forgive radically, and to embrace a form of spiritual discipline that transcends conventional understanding of control. By cultivating radical acceptance, authentic presence, and unconditional love, you transform your deepest vulnerabilities into formidable strengths, your reactive impulses into deliberate, conscious actions, and your grandest aspirations into tangible, achieved realities. You move decisively from being swept away by external forces to becoming the conscious commander of your own life and the situations within it. This is your path to an unshakable mind, built not on fleeting external conditions, but on the solid, eternal foundation of inner freedom. For a deeper dive into Jesus' timeless teachings on inner freedom, wisdom, and transformation, explore the Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. These ancient texts are not just histories, they are blueprints for a liberated life, offering a path to cultivating your own inner kingdom, a source of peace and power that lies within you, waiting to be unveiled. Comment below. Share how this reflection touched you. I read every comment attentively, and rest assured someone will recognize themselves in your experience. This exchange is powerful, and if this journey has made sense to you, I invite you to continue. The next video is important, very important, and it will delve even deeper into this conversation we started here. Subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell, and above all, don't stop now. You've already taken the first step. Keep going, because this path is yours.